Have you ever felt a jolt of ice in your veins? A cold certainty that your entire world is a lie just by looking at a name on a screen? That's what happened to me. It wasn't even a name, not really. It was just a label saved in my wife's phone. Work Project Nightingale. But I knew. I knew with a terrifying clarity that Project Nightingale wasn't a project. It was a person. Finding out who was about to destroy everything I thought was real. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. Our story, Isabel's and mine, was supposed to be a Chicago fairy tale. We met at a street festival in Lincoln Park, shared a deep dish pizza at Lou Malnati's on our first date, and got married under the glittering Tiffany dome at the Chicago Cultural Center. We built a life in a cozy brownstone in Wicker Park, a life I thought was solid, real, permanent. For 10 years it was, or so I believed. The first crack in my perfect world appeared on a Tuesday. Isabel, a high-flying marketing exec, had started working late. A lot. That night she came home well after midnight, smelling faintly of expensive cologne that wasn't mine and something else. Champagne. She said her team had been celebrating a new account. I wanted to believe her. But a strange nagging unease started to coil in my gut. She became more protective of her phone, always keeping its screen down. When I'd walk into the room, she'd quickly close her laptop. Small things, tiny shifts in our shared atmosphere, but they felt like tremors before an earthquake. One evening, she left her phone on the coffee table while she showered. The screen lit up. Message from work. Project Nightingale. Tonight was incredible. Can't stop thinking about you. My heart hammered against my ribs. My hand shook as I picked up the phone. Her password was our anniversary. The irony was a bitter pill. I opened the texts. It was all there. A waterfall of messages that washed away 10 years of my life. Flirtatious banter, inside jokes, and explicit details of their meets. My blood ran cold. The late-night strategy sessions were romantic dinners. The weekend conferences were hotel stays. They'd been to the Langham, my favorite hotel, the one I'd been saving to take her to for our next anniversary. The man was Marcus, a colleague I'd met at her company holiday party. He had a smug smile and a handshake that was a little too firm, like he was constantly trying to prove something. He'd clapped me on the back and called me a lucky guy. Now I knew why he was so smug. He was sleeping with my wife. Reading their messages, I saw how she talked about me. I was predictable, boring, clueless. She laughed with him about the excuses she fed me. Each word was a tiny, sharp blade twisting in my soul. I placed the phone back on the table, exactly as I found it, and a chilling calm washed over me. The pain was still there, a roaring inferno in my chest, but something else was born in that moment, a cold, methodical resolve. She thought I was clueless. I would be clueless. For the next 2 months, I played the part of the devoted, oblivious husband. I made her breakfast. I asked about her day. I listened to her fabricated stories about work stress, nodding sympathetically while inside I was cataloging every lie. My grief turned into fuel. I stopped sleeping and started planning. I became a detective in my own home. I put a keylogger on her personal laptop and a small audio recorder in her car. I started a new secret bank account and quietly began moving my personal savings into it. I consulted with the sharpest divorce attorney in Chicago, a woman known for her ruthless efficiency, recommended by a friend. I told her everything. She listened patiently, her expression unreadable, and then laid out a plan. A brutal, devastating plan. We needed irrefutable proof. It's not just texts, but financial records, location data, everything. The evidence piled up. Credit card statements showed charges for rooms at the Peninsula Hotel, dinners at Alinea, gifts I never received. The audio recorder captured breathless phone calls filled with I love yous that were never meant for me. I listened to them arrange a work trip to a spa resort in Lake Geneva for the upcoming Memorial Day weekend. That would be it. It would be the grand finale. Isabel became more brazen, more careless. She'd hum around the house, a little smile playing on her lips. She thought she was untouchable, that she had everything under control. The loving, if boring, husband at home, and the thrilling affair on the side. She had no idea the ground beneath her was about to crumble into a bottomless abyss. The day before their trip, I took the final steps. I compiled everything into a neat, horrifying digital package: screenshots of their texts, audio files of their calls, copies of receipts, GPS logs, placing them together at hotels and restaurants. Then I wrote 2 emails. The first was to the entire executive board of her company, including the CEO and the head of HR. The subject line was simple: unethical conduct and misuse of company funds, Isabel and Marcus. The email detailed their affair, attaching proof that they'd been expensing their romantic getaways as business travel. I described how Marcus, a senior manager, was engaged in an inappropriate relationship with his direct report, Isabel, a clear violation of company policy. The second email was to Isabel's parents and her closest friends, the very people who had watched me love her for a decade. The subject: something you should know about Isabel. This email was more personal, more painful. I attached the most damning text exchanges, where she mocked me and her own family. I wanted them to see the person she had become. I scheduled both emails to be sent at 10 a.m. the next day, right when I knew she and Marcus would be checking into their spa resort. That Friday, I packed a single suitcase. As I walked through our home, every object screamed with memories, now tainted. The photo from our wedding on the mantelpiece seemed to mock me. I took it, removed the picture of us, and left the empty frame. When my phone buzzed with a notification that the emails had been sent, I was already on Lakeshore Drive, heading north out of the city. The Chicago skyline shrinking in my rearview mirror. I didn't need to see the fallout. I could imagine it. The frantic calls from her boss, the shocked messages from her mother, the corporate investigation, the public shaming, the legal and financial ruin that would follow. My lawyer had already filed for divorce, citing infidelity with ironclad proof, ensuring I would keep the house, her assets, and she would be left with nothing but the consequences of her choices. I drove 4 hours, with no destination in mind, just the open road and a hollow quiet in my chest. There was no triumphant roar of victory, no cathartic release. There was only a profound, chilling silence where my love for her used to be. I had one. I had destroyed her world as completely as she had destroyed mine. But as the sun set, casting long shadows across the highway, I was left with a single, haunting thought. What? The end.